My mother leaned into the microphone, like she was about to make a church announcement, and said, "We're here tonight because Faith has become selfish, ungrateful, and she's tearing this family apart." The words echoed through my parents' living room. 40 people were sitting in folding chairs facing me like it was some kind of town meeting. Neighbors, church friends, my aunt and uncle, even a couple of people from my hospital. And right there in the second row, my supervisor. My sister Kristen stood to the side with her phone held up. Camera pointed directly at my face. "Guys, this is real family accountability," she said to the screen with a smile that looked rehearsed. "If you've ever watched a family situation spiral out of control like this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from in the comments." It was my 30th birthday. Not a surprise party. A surprise intervention. My father stood up slowly from his chair like a man preparing to read a verdict. In his hands was a stack of papers, 3 full pages. "I've made a list," he said, adjusting his glasses. "Everything Faith has done to damage this family over the years." A quiet murmur moved through the room. Someone shifted in their chair. Someone else whispered my name. I sat on the couch, between 2 decorative pillows. My mother never actually lets anyone touch. My hands rested in my lap, perfectly still. Inside, my heart was beating like it was trying to punch through my ribs. But my face stayed calm. Because this wasn't the first time my family had decided I was the problem. My mother crossed her arms and looked at me like a disappointed teacher. "You've controlled us with money for years," she continued. "Every conversation with you comes with guilt, pressure, or judgment. Controlled them with money. That was interesting, considering I'd been paying half their mortgage for the last 8 years. Kristen zoomed her phone in closer to my face. "See? She won't even react," she told her TikTok viewers. "This is exactly what we mean." My father cleared his throat and began reading. "Age 8, he said, glancing down at the paper. "Faith refused to share her birthday money with her sister." A couple people in the room chuckled awkwardly. He kept going. "Age 15. Faith embarrassed the family by arguing with her mother at a church picnic." I listened to every word, every accusation, every twisted memory. Because while my family thought they were exposing the truth tonight, what they didn't know was that I had been recording them for the past 2 months. And in about 10 minutes, everyone in that room was going to hear the real story. Before that night in my parents' living room, before the microphone, the folding chairs, and my sister's TikTok live stream, my life looked very different. At least from the outside. I'm an ER nurse in a small town about 30 minutes outside Columbus, Ohio. Most days start before sunrise and end long after my feet stop feeling like part of my body. 14-hour shifts are normal. Car accidents. Heart attacks. Kids who swallow things they absolutely shouldn't swallow. By the time I get back to my car in the hospital parking lot, my scrubs usually smell like antiseptic, coffee, and stress. But the quiet moment after a shift, engine off, eyes closed, just breathing, that's the part one look forward to. That's when I finally check my phone. And most nights, the messages look the same. "Mom, Faith, the insurance bill came again. Can you cover it this month?" "Kristen, hey, quick favor. Can I borrow $400 for an online course?" "Dad, usually just a picture. A repair bill. A roof estimate. Something expensive. No explanation. Just the picture." Every month I'd open my banking app and start doing the math. $1,100 for my parents' mortgage payment. $340 for my mom's insurance supplement. $280 for Kristen's car payment. Around $150 in groceries I dropped off every Sunday. About $2,100 a month. Almost half of what I brought home. Meanwhile, my apartment had 1 bedroom, a couch from IKEA, and a fridge with 2 meal prep containers and a half-empty bottle of hot sauce. My car was a 2014 Honda Civic, with 130,000 miles and a small crack in the windshield. I kept meaning to fix. I hadn't taken a real vacation since nursing school. 8 years. Not once. But here's the thing. I never complained. Not to my parents. Not to my sister. Not even to my friends. Because growing up, my grandmother Ruth used to say something that stuck with me. Family takes care of family. So that's what I did. Every Sunday I drove to my parents' house for dinner. I'd get there early, around 4 o'clock, to help my mom cook. Set the table. Wash whatever dishes were still sitting in the sink. By the time everyone sat down to eat, I'd already been working in their kitchen for almost an hour. Most weeks nobody even noticed. One Sunday, about 3 months before my birthday, I remember sitting at the table waiting for a pause in the conversation. Mom was talking about Kristen's TikTok page. "She's building a personal brand," Mom said proudly. "Life coaching. She already has almost 2,000 followers." Dad nodded like Kristen had just been accepted to Harvard. I cleared my throat. I actually got promoted last week, I said. Charge nurse. It was a big deal. More responsibility, leadership role. My mom reached for the bread basket. That's nice, honey, she said without looking up. Can you grab the salad from the fridge? Kristen showed up 45 minutes late with a bottle of wine and got a hug at the door. I had been there since 4, nobody hugged me. 3 months before my birthday, something happened that I was never supposed to hear. It was a Tuesday evening, and I had stopped by my parents' house to grab a jacket. I'd forgotten after Sunday dinner. The back door was unlocked like always. I stepped inside quietly. The kitchen light was on, but nobody was in there. I could hear voices coming from the living room, my mom and my sister Kristen talking. I almost called out to let them know I was there. Almost. Then I heard my name. We do it on her birthday, my mom said. My hand froze on the doorframe. Kristen laughed. You mean like a real intervention? Exactly, Mom said calmly. Everyone will already be there for the party. We sit her down, and we finally tell her the truth. My stomach tightened. What truth? Kristen asked. That she's selfish. Controlling. That she uses money to manipulate this family. I felt like the air had been knocked out of my chest. Kristen giggled. Oh my God, that would be amazing content, she said. I could live stream it. Raw family honesty always blows up on TikTok. Mom didn't hesitate. Film it if you want. Maybe it'll finally show people what we've been dealing with. My fingers slowly tightened against the wall. Kristen paused for a second. But what if she stops paying for everything? She asked. The house, my car. Mom let out a short laugh. She won't. The confidence in her voice made my stomach turn. She's been paying for 8 years, Mom continued. She didn't stop when your father mocked her job. She didn't stop when we missed her college graduation. Kristen snorted. So she's trapped. Exactly, Mom said. And if she throws a fit? Kristen asked. Mom's voice turned colder. Even better. Why? Because then everyone sees it. 40 people watching her lose control. She proves every word we said. I stood there in the hallway, completely frozen. 10 seconds. Maybe 15. It felt like an hour. My heart was pounding so loudly I was afraid they would hear it from the other room. I slowly backed away from the door. Step by step. Careful not to make a sound. Once I was outside, I got into my car and just sat there in the driveway staring at the garage door. My hands were shaking. For 8 years I had been helping this family survive. And they were planning to humiliate me in front of 40 people? For entertainment. Finally, I picked up my phone and called the only person I trusted with something like this. Naomi. She had been my best friend since nursing school. Now she was a civil rights attorney. I told her everything. Word for word. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she asked me one simple question. Faith, do you still have that voice recorder app on your phone? Yes, I said slowly. Naomi took a breath. Good, she said. Because starting right now, you're going to record everything. My father finally reached the end of his 3-page list. He lowered the papers slowly, like a man who had just delivered a closing argument. The room was quiet. 40 people staring at me. Waiting. My mother folded her arms and leaned toward the microphone again. Well, she said. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Kristen's phone was still pointed at my face. Her TikTok livestream counting viewers in the corner of the screen. My supervisor Marcus sat in the second row beside Carla from the ER. I could feel their eyes on me. This was the moment my family had planned for months. The moment they expected me to cry, or argue, or explode. Instead, I took a slow breath and stood up. Can we talk about this privately? I asked calmly. Just the family. My mother shook her head immediately. No, she said. If we're going to be honest tonight, we're going to be honest in front of everyone. A few people in the room nodded awkwardly. Kristen smiled at her phone like she had just captured the perfect moment. See, she whispered to her viewers. She can't handle accountability. I looked around the room one more time. Neighbors. Church members. Co-workers. People my mother had personally invited to watch me get torn apart. Then I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. My voice was steady. If we're doing this publicly, then we should probably hear the whole truth. My sister laughed. Oh please, she said. What truth? I reached into my purse and pulled out a small black Bluetooth speaker. The room went quiet again. My father frowned. What is that? He asked. Just something I brought, I said. I set it on the coffee table between us. My mother's smile faded slightly. Faith, this isn't the time for games. I met her eyes. It's not a game. I picked up my phone and tapped the screen once. The speaker connected instantly. A soft electronic beep echoed through the room. Then I pressed play. For a second, there was only static. And then my mother's voice filled the living room. Clear. Loud. Unmistakable. We do it on her birthday, the recording said. Everyone will already be there. We sit her down and tell her the truth. That she's selfish. The room went completely silent. Kristen's smile disappeared. My father slowly turned toward my mother. The recording continued. Kristen's voice came next. I'll film the whole thing. This kind of family drama does great on TikTok. A ripple of shocked whispers spread through the chairs. I didn't say a word. I just stood there while their own voices filled the room. And that was only the first recording.